Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Jam Bets. I am Tike, joined by, as always, by Mama Mia. So we've got a couple things we're going to talk through today. We're going to give a quick recap of our last video, which was Bills Ravens. Then we're going to jump into two games that we have our popcorn ready for. So two games we're going to be watching out for will be Eagles and Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch, and then we will be talking through Bears and Lions NFC North matchup. A lot of coaching implications, a lot of storylines there. So, Mama Mia, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with your Ravens Bills?
Okay, well, I did okay on the Baltimore Bills game. I do not understand how Baltimore folds like a cheap tent in these big games. Just, they had it. They're up by 15 points. And then, as I said, Josh Allen put the Superman cape on. He put the team on his back. Fourth quarter, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. He just had an answer for him. I mean, that's a really good team. It comes back in the fourth quarter, kind of like Minnesota did to us, but we won't talk about some of that. Some of these games in the NFC West or North, we're in the North. I don't want to talk about right now. But I did good on the Baltimore Bills game, I thought. How about you, Tyke?
Yeah, Josh Allen made me eat my words. I said he should not have been the MVP last year, going up against who I said should have been MVP, and Josh Allen put his money where his mouth is and showed why he was MVP last year. He took over that
Sure
game.
did.
He won that game. I did okay at the Bills Ravens game as well. I picked Derrick Henry to overperform. Derrick Henry had cleared over 100 yards like 5 minutes into the second quarter. I thought the Ravens were gonna just pummel him from that point forward until the Josh Allen magic. And then I picked James Cook to underperform. James Cook definitely underperformed on the rushing side, but he did make up for that on the receiving side. He had over 100 total yards and a touchdown. So let's move on to current week. We have Chiefs and Eagles. Super Bowl rematch week 2. I feel like this is more typically week 1, but I'll definitely take it week 2. Um, interesting. Well, Eagles are 1.5 point favorites. Chiefs last year were very rarely underdogs. They were the underdog 3 times last year, and when they were the underdog, they only outright won a game 1 out of those 3 games. So Chiefs are not very often underdogs, and last year they didn't do very well as an underdog either. So in the past 5 matchups of the Chiefs and Eagles, Chiefs have the advantage, winning three of the 5 games. But I found it interesting that both teams throughout the last 5 games all have scored, or both have scored, an exact total of 146 combined points each. So really interesting there. So we'll see. Maybe the Eagles will tie it up 3-3. But both teams on paper have been pretty evenly matched. So for injuries, Dallas Goedert is out for the Eagles, and Xavier Worthy is injured as well by the Shrek Ogre, Travis Kelsey, running him over. And then Rashid Rice is also out for suspension. So a couple wide receivers out for KC. But Mama, why don't you go ahead and talk us through what you're looking at, what you're looking for the Chiefs Eagles?
Okay, this is obviously a get your popcorn ready game. Interestingly enough, if you look at the Super Bowls that the Chiefs have lost, Philadelphia owned them in the Super Bowls. So those are two big games. I believe that this last Super Bowl that Kansas City got pretty shellacked in. I mean, they didn't score anything until the third quarter. That they're gonna really want some revenge here. And I think Mahomes is going to be extremely motivated needed to win this game. I'm looking for him to pull out the win because he's a very proud person, and he's got more in the tank than what we think. Unless the magic has somehow gone. This is in Kansas City, right? This game's in Kansas City, yes. So projection for Patrick is 22.8 points, and I'm looking for him to just be the crazy guy that used to sling the ball upside down, inside out, every which way you can. So look out. He's got that Thornton guy who's going to go deep, Hollywood Brown. And once in a while, you see that Juju Smith character come up with a big game. This is the game that I think Patrick is going to be slinging it around. For the Eagles, I like Saquon to open it up. During the Super Bowl, the recipe was to just keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands, and they did that very successfully. But even though Hurts ran more than Saquon had significant carries. I think he had 25 carries for only 57 yards, though. And then he caught 6 of 7 passes for 40 yards, but he had no touchdowns. I think he's going to want a touchdown. I mean, he got into his first Super Bowl and he didn't get to score a touchdown. That stings. So I think they're going to try to get him a touchdown. So those are my overperformers for this game, Tike. What do you think?
So yeah, the game is in KC, which Eagles are still the favorites even on the road. Typically, I think on the road is worth about 3 points if you're looking at Vegas lines. As for Super Bowls, Chiefs and Eagles are both 1-1 playing each other. So tied up in Super Bowl matchups. Yeah, Chiefs won the first one, last second field goal, 38-35 in I forget what year. Chiefs won the first one, Eagles won the second.
Okay.
But I'll be looking at couple things I'm going to be looking at. So I think I'm going to be looking and picking AJ Brown as my overperformer. AJ Brown had, I think, 1 target week 1. That is not typical for AJ Brown. Trend does show as well when AJ Brown has a bad game. He bounces back the next game and has either a touchdown or 100 yards. I would probably take the yards over the touchdown. So last week, Kansas City allowed 3 opposing wide receivers to all have 60-plus yards, which I thought was interesting. But Kansas City's run defense is top tier. So I will be expecting Nick Bolton and Chris Jones to hone in on Barkley, which I think will cause the Eagles to have to pass the ball more frequently. Also, Spags over there in Kansas City, the defensive coordinator, runs a lot of man coverage, one of the highest man coverages in the league. And A.J. Brown does most of his damage against man coverage, specifically cover 1. So Chiefs run cover 1 at 28% of plays last year. Maybe some changes to that, but same defensive coordinator, a lot of same personnel. I expect that to stay the same. And Jalen Hurts plays pretty well against the cover 1 as well. Jalen Hurts has a 7.2 completion percentage over expectation of the NFL average. So Hurts is pretty comfortable when you're blitzing him. And when you're blitzing Hurts, A.J. Brown has historically been his go-to guy. So I'll be picking A.J. Brown as my overperformer. And then as for my underperformer, not really going too far out on a limb here, but I'm going to take Isaiah Pacheco as my underperformer. I don't know what he is listed at on any sports books or any Vegas odds, but he only had 3 carries last week. And then Kareem Hunt, who filled in, only had 8 carries. And the Eagles have a pretty good run-stopping defense. I don't expect Jalen Carter to get kicked out of the game before it starts this week either. So I think the Chiefs' running game will probably be a little bit of a pain point. Curious how I mean, if it's effective, they'll keep running the ball, but I don't think it's going to be effective. And I think there's something going on with Isaiah Likely. They'll only have 3 carries last week, even though he's not listed on
Check.
the or Pacheco. Sorry, Pacheco only had 3 carries last week, but he's not listed on any injury report. So I find that a little odd. Um,
So yeah,
who do you think's going to win, Mama?
I think the Chiefs are going to pull this one out. I didn't go through my underperformers.
Hmm.
I'm looking at my underperformers to be Kansas City's defense. Even though I'm projecting them to win, I'm saying Mahomes is going to pull it out. Kansas City's defense just did not look good. I don't know if they had jet lag or if they're just getting old. Spags didn't really have, I mean, I don't think they had too many injuries last week. So I'm not sure what was going on, but boy, they look soft. I mean, Herbert just shredded them. He just shredded them. So I think Philly's going to try to run the ball and just keep Mahomes on the sidelines. And I think that tired defense, that older defense, those guys are starting to hit the 30 mark, and they're all paid a lot of money, especially those linemen, Chris Jones and a couple of the other ones. I can't remember their names right now, but so, and then I think since Dale Goddard is out, I think Calcaterra he's not going to have much activity. I think they're going to just script him maybe a couple catches. So I don't think tight ends are going to be a factor for Philadelphia other than blocking for Saquon and Jalen Hurts. So that's my underperformers on that game. But I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it'll be a first half without Kansas City scoring. I really don't think that's going to happen in Kansas City, especially. Crowd's going to be crazy. So we'll see. It's going to be a great game. I mean, we thought that Super Bowl was going to be a great game, and Philadelphia just came in and rang their bell. So if they do that again, we always thought the AFC teams were those teams are all so competitive. You got Baltimore, Bills, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Denver. Well, they got some NFC teams too that are pretty darn good. Philadelphia being one of them, Green Bay being another one. Wait, what did I say? Never mind.
We'll pretend that's not true for at least another week, but it looks like it is.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm gonna pick the Eagles to cover. I do agree with you. I think the Chiefs are probably been thinking about this game all off season, are probably pissed off about it. But I think the Eagles are a better team. I think the Chiefs may have to be one dimensional on the offensive side, and then the Chiefs secondary so far this year off to a rocky start, allowed 146 yards and a touchdown to Zay Flowers. I think A.J. Brown's a much better receiver than Zay Flowers as well. And I think I'm blanking on the Smith, the Eagles' second wide receiver. He's pretty good as well.
Yeah.
I think they're
Yes, he
gonna
is.
I think they're gonna do some damage in the passing game, but I like A.J. Brown.
Okay.
All right, and our second game we're going to move into is Bears versus Detroit. This game is in Detroit. Mama, you want to kick us off with what you're seeing, what you're thinking, what you're watching for?
Yeah. So we've got Kyler Gordon is ruled out again. It's kind of disturbing. But we do got Grady Jarrett back, Jalen Johnson, linebacker TJ Edwards. So that's going to be a big difference. They're all expected to play, and I'm hoping that our coaches have learned a little bit about halftime adjustments since the last game, and especially we need Dennis Allen not to be so predictable. Detroit has a linebacker out, but questionable is Taylor Decker, the tackle, and Kirby Joseph, the safety. So I'm thinking the lines are giving the Bears 4.5 points. Yeah. I don't know. It's in Detroit. I think this game's going to come down to a lot of chemistry. I think the Lions are missing chemistry they had with their offensive and defensive coordinators that are both gone, and that they're trying to build chemistry, right? But I also think the Bears are almost in the same boat. We've got brand new coaches all over the place. Who's building the team, right? Who's got their hands on, and the team is buying into their system. I know Dan Campbell's still there, but I think I think they're missing these coordinators quite a bit, and I'm hoping that our team is gelling a lot faster than their team, and I think that's what's going to play out. Bears are getting 4.5 points. It's a lot of points. I guess it was 6.5 earlier in the week, so it's starting to come down. It's going to depend on, can we make halftime adjustments? Yes. Do we have the locker room? Do we have support? Do we have plays? Is our friend Ben Johnson going to call some trick plays? Maybe a hook and ladder, or have Roshan Johnson, who's back. He was a former quarterback. Throw passes to Caleb. I mean, he does that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping to see some unpredictable, aggressive plays on our offense and extremely aggressive defense to rattle Goff. So last year the Bears lost in Detroit 23-20. They were down. Bears were down 16-0 at halftime. Caleb threw 3 touchdowns in the second half. So, he's capable. Just keep him comfortable, right? Hopefully our offensive line can hold up to Hutchinson, and we learned some things by watching a game, right? So, see what happens to Green Bay, how they held them off, and hopefully we can do that. So, what are you thinking? Like, what are you thinking?
So yeah, you mentioned the Bears did open up at plus 6.5. So there is money coming in on the Bears, which take that for what you want. Vegas thinks we're almost a touchdown underdog. So last year in Detroit, 8 out of 9 games hit the over versus the Vegas opening line. Now one of those, I think 2 of those games, one was against Tennessee Titans, where the Lions scored like 48 points themselves. They just piled it on. So we'll see how that goes, but I do like the over. I'm hoping it'll be a little bit of a shootout track show. I think that would be in the Bears' best interest if they're putting a lot of points up on the board as well. We'll see how the Bears' defense goes. A lot of starters out last week, specifically in the secondary. So this is their first game of the season, going up against a wide receiver group in Detroit that has a lot of fast, great weapons. So I'll be looking at 2 players in true fashion, as it seems to always be for every week. I've got 2 running backs in this game. So I'll be taking David Montgomery as the overperformer. A little bit of a revenge game. But David Montgomery, when he plays the Bears pretty well. He's only played against the Bears 3 times. He was injured for the 4th game last year. He only has 1 touchdown, but David Montgomery's averaging 76 yards per game against the Bears. Bears rushing defense last year was atrocious. Did bring in some additional help there. Hopefully Grady Jarrett will be able to help lock that down. Need to see some Montez Sweat out there. Really hoping the D-line can go out there and kind of stop the Lions' rushing attack, which we have not been able to do previously. So I'll be taking David Montgomery as my overperformer. I think his fantasy value is pretty good this week. I think it's a little bit understated. While looking at the projections of what he's being projected, I think he'll beat his projections. All right, Mama, who do you got for your underperformer?
Oh, my overperformers.
Oh, that's
I
what I meant.
didn't do my overperformers. I'm looking at Cairo Santos. He needs to prove he's the kicker for the Chicago Bears. he's in a little hot water right now for the rest of the season. This is an indoor game. There are no excuses. He should be able to hit through those uprights from 60 yards out. I mean, I know he doesn't have a big leg, but he's got to figure this out. ESPN is projecting him at 7.8 points. I think he's got a lot to prove. He's gonna have to do it. You know, he's gonna have to show up. And then I think Jared Goff is gonna have a big game. He needs to prove that his success wasn't based on his offensive coordinator leaving, right? He's got a lot to prove. So, you know, was it all Ben Johnson's magic, or does Jared really have the skills to win on his own? We're going to find that out. We're also going to find out if the new OC can call the game well or not. Let's see. His projection is 19 points in fantasy PPR leagues from ESPN. So I'm expecting him to. You're expecting him to run. I'm expecting him to throw. So my underperformers for that game, I'm concerned that the Bears tight ends are not going to see much action. You know, but you never know. I'm hoping that there's that unpredictable Ben Johnson that's going to go, yeah, we're going to do something crazy here, like, you know, the Philadelphia special or something. I mean, he better have some jazz pumped up for this game. And I think, you know, Detroit probably is expecting that, but when, right? When does he do it, you know? Kind of like when you were able to do an offside kick at halftime in a Super Bowl, which I'm really upset that they changed that rule. And then on Detroit's side, I think Jameson Williams might not see very much action. You got Jalen Johnson back, and I'm hoping that the defensive backs can cover him and Ramon St. Brown better. I mean, they should look at what Green Bay did. They kept everything in front of them. They didn't let anybody get deep. So they gave you the recipe, right? They gave us the recipe on how to contain that offense. So let's hope that's what happens. And what are you looking at for your underperformance?
So for my underperformer, I'll be taking Swift, Bears running back, as my underperformer. Swift had extremely poor efficiency last week, pretty poor efficiency last year as well. Swift was stuffed on 58.8% of his carries in week one, which resulted in 0 to 2 yards on those attempts that count as his stuff. Roschon Johnson, as you mentioned earlier, is also back this week. And then the Bears' other running back, Managagi. Ben Johnson listed, brought him up at a press conference, said we need to get him more involved. Ben Johnson historically has always liked using a 2 running back approach. And then the Bears opening up at almost a touchdown underdog makes me feel that running may not be the best option to go here if this does turn into a shootout or if the Bears are down. Swift's line, I don't know how he'll do rushing-wise or touchdown-wise, but he's projected to have 15 attempts. It seems extremely high to me looking at that. Lions also allow the least amount of rushing attempts in the NFL last year, and Josh Jacobs, who is a much better running back than Swift, last week had 13 carries. I hate to say it, but if Jacobs isn't getting that many carries, I don't know why Swift would. So the line just seems pretty high to me. I don't think Swift is getting 15 carries. Now, if Swift does get 15 carries, that means the Bears are probably handily winning, which I will be thrilled with. So I think by taking that, I'm putting myself in a win-win situation. Now, if Swift gets 17 carries and the Bears are down by 20, I'll be very upset. But I don't think that will be the case. So I don't think the Bears are going to win this game. I hope they will. If the Bears were still plus 6.5 as the underdog, I would probably consider taking that. But I think there's going to be a lot of points scored here. There's typically a lot of points scored in Detroit as well. So for that reason, I'd probably lean towards taking the over, which is currently at about 46.5, 47.5 points. I could see both teams scoring at least 25 points in this game.
Really? I think I'm going to disagree with that. I think it'll be under. But it could turn into a track meet. I mean, that would be exciting. But they both have pretty decent defenses, and they have the blueprint on how to stop us in the fourth quarter, though. So if we fix that, right, and then we have the blueprint on how to stop them from Green Bay. So unless they do some changes, and that's where it's gonna be. These game plans have got to be different for both of these teams. Whoever does a better job of that is going to win. And I'm hoping that our little, what do you call him, a snot nose? What do you call him, a snot nose geek, computer geek? Ben Johnson was called that by the big guy Dan Campbell.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So there's a little tension between them two right now. So I think the little snot nosed computer geek is going to draw some stuff up and try and kick his butt.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know there was really any bad blood there, right? That makes it a lot more interesting.
It could just be bantering, but take what it is for what it is. So what it is. But and there's a lot of other good games this week, but those two I think are the ones that I'm really gonna get my popcorn ready for. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Good luck this week for fantasy wise, and we'll see you. We'll see you again soon.
Okay. Thanks, Tike.
Bye, Mama.